So Microsoft just had their E3 briefing, and of course at the end of it, as I predicted, they had a new trailer for Halo Infinite to showcase the Xbox Scarlett, or Project Scarlett, that's what they're calling it. And in this discussion, I wanted to give a few points that I noticed in this trailer that some people have said, some people haven't, but this is a perspective video. You can share your thoughts in the comments, but let's talk about this new trailer that is delivering us hope. So hello, it's Samurai Kibiji, in which every week I encourage you to be geek, be proud, be awesome with weekly content. This week it's a lot more than weekly content because E3's going on. I'm tired. But I really wanted to touch upon this. This trailer has so many things about it that I really want to discuss because Halo Infinite is my most anticipated thing to come soon. And this trailer has a lot of stuff jam-packed into it that, you know, it seems like some simple cinematic trailer that's only in like, you know, just one pelican of a ship kind of a thing. But there's actually a lot of stuff in here that I really wanted to point out and see what your thoughts are on. The reason them changing this to Halo Infinite rather than Halo 6 is because they really want this to be a spiritual reboot. And there's a lot of things that they just, little nuggets if you pay attention that they did in this, with the first thing I want to say being its music. So the music in this trailer, as well as I believe he's like now the overseer of the music in this game, being Curtis Schweizer. I'm sorry if I butchered that last name. But Curtis is overseeing the music for Halo Infinite, and he composed the music in this trailer. And boy, is it emotional, peaceful, wondrous, you know? It's super it's something really different, you know? People are talking about the art direction for this, but I wanted to point out the music because it's got a really different tone than anything we've really heard in Halo. Like, yes, Halo obviously ever since 3 has been a big, you know, fan of pianos, which Curtis does great, because honestly, I looked into him a bit and he did the soundtrack for Starbound, to which if you listen to a couple tracks in Starbound, you will recognize that it almost sounds like this trailer. You know, his work in Starbound is really similar, you know, it echoes, it's wondrous, it's peaceful, you know. I'm just curious what Curtis does with this game in like intense situations, you know, stressful scenes and epic ones. I'm really for this new direction in music, and I'm just curious to see where it takes us. The next thing I want to point out is the Spartan armor. If you look at Chief in this trailer in his new Mjolnir armor, or whatever it is, it's Mjolnir armor. It's a cross of art styles. It's not leaning towards the Bungie armor, nor the 343 armor. It's something just different. It blends them both, but however, I do want to point out that I had a comment or two that pointed out that this armor resembles Chief's in Halo Legends, as well as Forward Unto Dawn, and I didn't even think of that. They're totally right. This armor just straight up looks like the armor that Chief donned in those two properties, and it's even got that 117 on his chest plate. I admit it's got a bit more of a robotic feel to it, and it really is a cross blend of the look that the Mark 6 armor had that Chief had in 2 and 3, as well as the bulkiness that's his armor in 4 and 5. And I think that was a great choice because you don't really cater to one fan base to cause the other to be mad at you. You think of something new that blends the two together, and I personally think it looks super good. It just goes with that idea that Microsoft Studios, as well as 343, really wants this to be the spiritual reboot for the franchise, and that goes into the art direction as well. The art direction of this trailer, you could see inside the ship's interior when you boot up, you know, Chief's vision, and it really resembles that 80s, 90s-ish future that Bungie envisioned for Halo. You know, it's a future that seems to still have technology that, you know, it's more advanced than what we got, but it's not so advanced that it looks like, you know, it's super duper in the future, you know, where people use lasers and stuff. It actually looks very grounded. You even see that classic helmet that the Marines wear in the previous Halo games that resembles much more of the Bungie Halo games. And this ship's interior just looks like something much more that a scavenger would use. Well, not a scavenger, but, you know, compared to the 4 and 5 UNSC, it just doesn't look like as advanced of a ship. This trailer potentially could be a great setup to what is the beginning of Halo Infinite's story, and this clearly takes place after Halo 5. We see a destroyed ring, and Cortana's potentially done what she promised that she would do in Halo 5, and a lot of the UNSC is gone, and they're on the run and stuff, and just trying to make do with what they can. And I love that idea. I love that idea that this is a very different UNSC that's so desperate, and they need Chief. They need Chief. He's the only way that they could accomplish what they need to accomplish because they've lost so much of what they've gained without him. during the years between 3 and 4. Somebody also brought up in my comments that this pilot could have been looking for Chief, to which, who knows, you know, we have no idea if that's the case, but let's just say hypothetically, you know, he was looking for Chief, or now that he's found Chief, they can go home like he says, and this first mission of the game, this could be like a first cutscene of the game, and Chief has to go out, and you as the player have this action-packed mission where you have to defend the Pelican to make sure you guys can get home and get to your debriefing that will explain what's happened. One of the biggest problems people have with Halo 5 is that you're jumping into a story that you have no idea like where you are, what's going on, and what's happened, who these characters are. But this could be a great intimate thing that all you need to know is Chief is a hero. He meets this pilot. This pilot tells him the UNSC is in a very bad state, and then he takes you to this debriefing that will explain what's happened and set up what you're doing. Very similar to the beginning of Halo 3 when Chief winds up at Rat's Nest. In fact, this whole sequence reminds me of Halo 3 where, you know, Johnson is recovering Chief and they are just, you know, on this mission. But something that is really helpful in this trailer is the Marine pilot in this trailer. I've been saying continuously, I think it's even in my video about what Halo Infinite really needs to be big. I really want to get attached to these Marines in this game. I haven't cared about my AI companions since, honestly, the Bungie games. And I love that idea of giving us Marine characters we care about, because what if, you know, this beginning of the game, you were just getting to know this one little pilot, and then eventually you work with a bunch of other Marines and you care about them because of this one experience you had with this one pilot Marine, you know? It brings that depth. But honestly, this one trailer made me care more about this random UNSC pilot than most of the new characters been introduced. And that was just over the course of like 3 or 4 minutes. I'm just saying that could add a lot of depth to even the gameplay, you know, when you're fighting alongside Marines and when one of them dies, you're just like, damn it. Because you, the player, care about Marines, and I'm sure Chief does, but Chief is an objective guy, to which that brings me into this next point, that Chief in this trailer is the freaking hero. The first couple minutes of this trailer is super important because it sets up this idea that Chief is a savior. Chief is the hero to humanity, and I really love that feel, and haven't gotten that feel in Halos 4 and 5, because 4, you know, you're just kind of this older vet that some people know about, but they don't really treat you with the respect that Chief deserves. And then 5, you're just with this squad of a bunch of other Spartans and play as another squad of Spartans, that you don't feel like that savior of humanity anymore. You just feel like one of the guys. And that was something key about the original Halos that really made you feel like, you know, you were the savior, you were the badass, you were the soldier that the UNSC needed. Also, another thing about this trailer is that Chief is really silent, he's objective, and I like the character building that 4 and 5 did with Chief, don't get me wrong, but I'm willing to admit one of the reasons Chief was constantly compared to Doom Guy is because you felt like you were him, the player, you know? When he's in all these scenes, you feel like that's you in these scenes because of how silent he is, how objective he is, and the things that he's accomplishing. It just felt like you, the player, were Chief as the character. And I just got so much more connection to that in this trailer. I just felt like I'm here to save you kind of a thing. And all this wasn't thanks to the slipspace engine, to which we finally got a good look at in this trailer. The facial capture that this thing can do with this pilot, the facial capture is better than it's ever been with any of the Halo games. Not by a wide margin in my opinion, but just a bit noticeably to me, yeah. And there is something I'm theorizing in this that I don't know if anybody else thinks this, but just me personally. When it shows that first person perspective and just kind of goes instantly to Chief walking from like a third person perspective, I get the feeling that there's gonna be no load times between a cutscene and what's happening. You know, think of God of War, where you're watching this cutscene and then it instantly transitions to the combat. It's all like one continuous shot. Kingdom Hearts 3, you know, where you would have this cutscene and then it would just, the camera would circle around and you would be in the fight. I don't know, I could be wrong about that, but I really got the feel that this slipspace engine is not only getting great facial features, not only has wondrous animation in that cartographer room at the end of the trailer, I get the feeling there will be no load times between cutscenes and combat. That will be so cool if that's true. But overall, we're still left to wonder. We're still left in hope and mystery, like, we just don't know. I hope we will get little pockets of information over the next year, but honestly, I love this mystery that we have for Halo Infinite. It's been so long since we've had it. Now we just need to see some actual gameplay. Well, what do I know? I mean, you leave me your thoughts of what you think of it, as well as you can check out my reaction to it in the videos down below. And of course, if it's your first time here, you should remember to be geek, be proud, be awesome. You're freaking awesome. Geek out about what you love, own that stuff, and consider subscribing to the channel if you want more content like this. I will see you in more E3 stuff. Check out a video below. Halo Infinite. So excited.